Do you want to know how to make faux leather out of baking paper and create some beautiful and unique junk journal tags out of it? Then this video is for you. Hi there, this is Luise Heinzel, and today I would like to show you how you can make your own faux leather paper out of ordinary baking paper, and I will show you how you can use that to create some really beautiful and outstanding junk journal tags that you can use in a journal that you have at hand or in a journal that you are creating. So for this technique, I'm using ordinary baking paper, as you can see here. And the first step is to make it like this. So to crumble it, or how is this called in English? So this step you can do as often as you would like. So if you do it more often, of course, this leather effect in the paper will get more extreme and you will get more waves and more of this leathery look of this paper. I took a normal sheet of baking paper. So here in Austria, we can get those in this already pre-cut version. But of course, you can also take a roll of baking paper and cut the size that you would like to have for your project. So in the next step, I took some mud medium and this pre-made tags. This is an ordinary piece of some kind of scrapbooking paper or that stuff. So the thickness is like scrapbooking paper. And then I took mud medium and glued those pieces here down to my paper. So that's a really easy way to do it because you can glue several of those tags at the same time and then later on cut them into pieces, as I do it here. So for this step, I took mud medium to glue this because a normal glue stick would not work with this technique. Would not work with this baking paper. It would not stick forever there because it's not the right glue for this project. So please take mud medium or some kind of strong glue to glue this. For the edges, I took my scissors and cut the baking paper like you can see here. And then later on, I will glue those overlapping things to the back side. I will not care about how this will look on the back side because my plan is to back all those tags with some heavier cardstock and with some neutral material that I can journal on later on the back side of this tag. But the main reason why I'm gluing this here around the edges is that you can distress the tag later on very easily when you have this fold over, so this flip over to the back side. If you would cut the baking paper along the shape of the tag, then it would be on the one hand not so nice as it is here, not so nice edges, and the other thing is that you have a really hard job to distress these tags later. Because of course the baking paper is really thin, and when you go over this with your distressing tool, you have to do it really carefully so that the baking paper does not come off of this tag. And this is the really secure way. And of course you have this really clear edges when you do it like this. When you have finished all your tags, you can dry them. So you can air dry them or do it with your heat gun. If you would want to dry this with your heat gun, then I would recommend to dry it from the back side. That is really easy because the tag paper can let the heat through the paper, and the baking paper is really, you know what I mean. The heat doesn't come through it so easily as when you would dry it from the back side. Hope that makes sense. Then I took some acrylic paints, and here you can play with what you want and what you have. For this tag, I tried to get some matching colors to this journaling page that you can see on the left-hand side. And I took this green and this red to get some matching colors to this bird that's on the journaling page. But of course, you can use those colors that you like, that you have at hand, and that would match your own project. I took acrylic paints here. So I just applied them from this little tube there, and I used this distressing tool to get the color to this tag. You can also use a paintbrush or your fingers, a sponge, or even a baby wipe would work. In this first step that I show you here, I cover this whole tag. So I want to have a base color for this tag. So I'm covering the whole thing with the acrylic paint. Of course, you can also leave some spaces in between so that the baking paper can show through this whole thing. That's, of course, personal preference, how you would like to do that. Here I'm showing you what happens when you use another color, and I'm talking about a color that makes a really big contrast. So first I took this red, and now I'm making some areas with this blue color. And I also take this distressing tool and I go over this tag really randomly to make some marks and this really high contrast. So I know that not everyone will like this. It's really some kind of art journaling style and not such vintage or this shabby chic look. But I wanted to show you different looks and different results of this. So I used this technique as well. For the next tag, I took the rest of the color that I had on my finger and applied it directly with my finger to the tag. So you can make it like this and then just apply it with your finger. That makes a really different effect, as you can see here. So with your finger, you will not cover up the whole baking paper stuff, but you will get this really beautiful pattern on it, and you will see this structure of this faux leather paper already in this step. On the other tags, you will see it later on when I add some more different mediums. For the next little series of tags, I took this brown color to show you that you also can get leather-looking leather paper. Do you know what I mean? So this brown color that would be a more typical leather color. But in this case, I also wanted to show you that you can also use the colors that you like. So play with the colors that you have, or do it like I do it here for those examples, and make this typical leather color, this brown color. If you have too much color on your tag, I did this here for demonstration. You can also use your tag and go over it. Go with this tag over another tag. You see what I'm doing here, so I can't explain this. So you can remove the color that is too much by just taking the tag and going over it over another tag, or if you don't have another tag that you can get rid of your color, you can of course also use a baby wipe to rub it off, or you can take an old book page and press it down to the tag and then remove the color that's too much. The problem with baking paper and acrylic paint is that the baking paper is really, really glossy, and all the stuff or the layers that you put to it, you have to make really thin that they will stay on the baking paper. If you make your layers, especially with the acrylic paint, if you make them too thick and you have the tag in use later, then the acrylic paint will come off. So make sure that you make your layers really, really thin and dry everything in between really well. In the next step, I used some Distress Oxide ink. That seems to be a little bit crazy, and it feels a little bit strange and weird when you do it the first time, because, as I said, the baking paper is really glossy and really slippery. And when you add this color and you add water, then it's a little bit strange. But when you heat it with your heat gun and you dry it with your heat gun, then it will stay there where it was, like it is on normal cardstock or something like that. So you have to be a little bit patient. You have to do this a little bit carefully to not remove the acrylic paint from your tag, but this will also work. And when you use acrylic paints, you know those paints often have really bright colors. So you can use distress oxide ink or normal distress ink to mute those colors down a little bit. And as you can see, when you apply the ink, this makes a really great pattern, and it makes a really nice contrast between this brown and the distress oxide. I used this little turquoise thing there, and I think that's a really nice contrast, and you can play around with different techniques that you know from distress oxide inks. So you can also apply this distress oxides to your acrylic block or to a silicone mat, or alternatively a glass mat or something like that, so that you can spray water and then dip your tag into this distress oxide ink like you can see it here. And this gives sometimes some really nice surprises, because of course you can't see what you are doing when you are dipping it into it like this. But the results are always really, really cool. And now the ink comes only to the upper parts of this structure. So of course this structure has some kind of hills and downs, how do you call that? And now when you apply this really carefully, this ink comes only to the topper parts of this structure. You can also use your ink pad and apply it directly like this and then leave it like it is, or you can also add some water with a paintbrush or a spray bottle or some kind of stuff, and then afterwards you can dry it. And if you know the distress oxides, you know that this this oxide effect comes when you add water and then dry it. And you can really, really, make really awesome effects, and you can play around with this effect that the distress oxide gives you. I layered some of those oxide inks here to the tags to give you an imagination how that can look in the end, how different the effects can be. Of course, you can stop after every step that I'm doing here and leave your tag like it is when you are satisfied with it, or when you say, okay, this fits to my page already, then please stop and leave it like it is. Of course, you don't have to do all the steps that I'm showing here, but I wanted to have this tutorial like, some kind of variation stuff, and that you can see the different variations and the different things that happen when you add more and more layers. You can also use the distress oxide to lighten up some darker acrylic paints. This thing that I have here has really dark blue acrylic paint on it, and with this turquoise I can lighten it up a little bit, and I can also bring these colors to a little different color palette, if that makes sense. Also, if you don't like a color, perhaps you have this yellow brownish thing and you think, okay, I don't like that, then just add some more acrylic paints or go over it with the distress oxide, and you will see this will give you another color, a really change. It will really change the color, and you can perhaps make some colors that you don't like into some colors that you like. So does that make sense? Hopefully. And of course, the more layers you add, the more interesting this whole stuff will be. The more layers you add, the more loud this tag will be. So if you want to have a really quiet background, then don't add too much layers. But if you love to play like me, then you can do it like this and play around with what you have. So you can also try to use some watercolors on this thing, or you can of course use some paints that you have that are not acrylic paints, but to be honest, I haven't tried that out, how this will work. So please play around on a little tag and try that out, and then please leave me a comment what you have experienced, and perhaps you have some really new techniques or something like that with this thing here, with this base technique. I would be really happy to know about your experiences with these techniques. The next step, to be honest, was some kind of a fail. I thought I could emboss this thing. So I took my embossing ink pad and I expected that the ink of this embossing ink pad will only come to the topper parts of these little hills that are on the leather paper. But as you can see, this looks really strange. But then I thought, okay, now it's here on this tag. So let's heat it up and look what will happen. So I heated it up and I was really surprised about the result because as you can see here, it's not such clear, but you can see it. So you can see the structure of this fake leather paper. I think if you would like to put a flower or a bird or something like that on top, then this would look like a grass background or some kind of nature background, and it would be really beautiful as well. For the journal that I want to use these tags for, I need some really big contrast. So this tags will go into my The Day After Valentine's stationery journal. Perhaps you know my journaling process about this from my other videos. And you know that this journal is really grungy, really high contrasted, and I needed some contrast on this tags as well. So I decided to go with black permanent ink. This is the StazOn Jet Black ink, and I used the permanent ink because I don't want it to smear the layers that are underneath. This ink is some kind of dry when you go over the ink pad with this tag like this, and I was sure that I will not smear the layers underneath. So if you want to use distress ink or distress oxide for this step, I guess you have to seal the things that you have on your tag, that you have made on your tag before. So that would be a good idea to take a spray bottle sealer, so this kind of alcohol sealer that you can get in spray bottles, you know what I mean, and go over this whole tag with this sealer. You could also use mud medium or Mod Podge to seal it, but with this kind of mediums that you have to apply with a brush, you have to be a little bit careful that you don't smear the distress ink and the distress oxide, because those are water soluble, and perhaps it can happen when you go over this with mud medium and a brush, then it will reactivate and the look of this ink will change. So I would recommend an alcohol sealer that you can spray, or you can use permanent ink in this step to have the most easiest way, because I have sealed nothing here. So I just went over this with the ink pad directly. And as you can see here, I do this really carefully. I make this circle movements to get regular kind of stuff, so a regular look, so that not on one end of the tag it is really dark and on the other end it is really light. Sorry, this English language is really difficult and a really hard job for me, so please excuse if I talk weird English. But yeah, what I want to say is you can vary the pressure of your ink pad to get a different look of this tag. As you can see on this blue tag that I did before, it's really dark because I pressed much more with the ink pad to the tag than I did on the others. And I think the main point here is to make some circle movements and not go up and down, or left and right, because then you will get this straight lines from the ink pad that I think look not so nice on this thing. We want to have some kind of leather look, even if we use those bright colors and not those typically leather colors. But I want to have this structure really looking like leather and not like stripes. Do you know what I mean? Not as it is stamped or something like that. So if you would like to imitate this tutorial, I would be really happy. And I always really appreciate when you post something to Instagram and when you tag me there and you say, hi Louise, I made this here from a tutorial that I saw on your YouTube channel. I'm always so happy when I see your results that you made with my tutorials, and hopefully I will see some of those tags in the future on Instagram or on Facebook. And if you want to share this, you can use the informations that you can see in the screen at Louise Heinzel and hashtag Junk Journal Art mit Louise Heinzel. So this word mit means with in German. So it's Junk Journal Art with Louise Heinzel in English, but please write the German hashtag so that I can clearly find your results. So that would be really, really nice. And in the meantime, when I recorded this video and my recording was finished, I thought perhaps it would be a good idea to use some old book pages or some scrapbooking paper that already has a pattern on it for the background tag. So I would be really, really interested how it would look if under the baking paper there will be some scrapbooking paper or book pages. So if you would like to try that out, I would be really happy if you post that somewhere or send me a message via Facebook or write me an email or something like that. I will definitely try this out because I think that can give a really, really cool look when this book page writing or the scrapbooking pattern comes through the baking paper. Of course, you have to use less acrylic paint and less layers when you try to make it, but I think that would be really, really great, and I definitely will try this out. And what you also will see on my channel in a few days is how I will use those tags in my junk journal. So I will decorate those only a little bit because this background is already so stunning and so outstanding. But there will be another video where you can see how I will put those beautiful things here into my journal. If you don't want to miss that, please subscribe to my channel and come back in a few days. And yeah, you will see that. Thank you very much for watching and being here with me. I hope you like this. Please leave a comment what you think about this technique and this leather paper. And yeah, stay crafty and have a very great time. See you the next time. Bye bye.